All right, everyone. Hi, and welcome to LA Rams Central, the 49th episode. I'm actually doing this one without Eric. We'll be doing the 50th episode tomorrow, which is going to cover the games for Sunday. Right now, I'm just going to kind of talk about a little bit of the aftermath of the Rams' crushing victory of the Indianapolis Colts. How sweet it was. Only one team in LA won, baby! That's because there's only one team in LA, the LA Rams. Sorry, Charger fans. Go back to Diego or book it on up north to Oaktown because you ain't going to win this fight. You ain't going to win this battle. Now, a couple things I'm going to talk about. Today, we're not going to go into detail on the Ram game. I'm going to wait for Eric. We're going to do our analysis together on that. I am going to say, first of all, Jared Goff looked great. Sean McVay's offense looked like it was rolling, and that defense looked nasty without Aaron Donald. So how good is it going to look with Aaron Donald? You're not going to want to miss the 50th tomorrow that I'm going to film tomorrow, and it probably won't get it updated or posted until, well, I'm going to try to post it tomorrow, but it might not go actually onto YouTube until Friday. So just bear with me on that. Maybe even as late as Saturday, although I hope not, because I'm hoping to get this to you guys by the weekend. Certainly before that. So on the 50th, we're going to do the Week 2 breakdown of all the games. Quick little synopsis on each one. We're going to do a preview, or then I'm going to do a breakdown of the Ram game against the Colts in a little bit more detail with Eric. We'll save that one for last and do that one lengthy. And then we're going to jump into our Week 2 previews, and then we're going to break down the Rams and Redskins game so you guys get kind of an idea. Now, a couple things that are interesting. The first week, I went 8-7 in my predictions. Not my best day, but not my worst day either. Overall, for a week 1, I'm pretty pleased with it. Eric, on the other hand, went 10-5, which I thought was really good. He outdid me as usual. He usually does better than me in the picks because I pick with this and not always with this. But I use this more often than those on the NFL Network. Elliot Harrison went 10-5. So that gives you an idea. Me and Eric are kind of right there with these experts. So one of the things that I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to talk about on the show, is kind of what I plan on doing moving ahead when we do our predictions and tying that all together. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to do a quick breakdown of the Bengals-Texans game and kind of what I think without Eric. I'll tell you who Eric's picking, and he can attest to the reasons why tomorrow when we do the show, which the Bengals game will either already be on or just about over. But I want to make sure that I get in the fact that he had picked the team that he had picked prior to the game starting. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a synopsis on the aftermath of the Ram game and kind of what I saw leading in and what really pissed me off and what I saw leading out that pissed me off even more. Okay? So I want to make sure I get that in. Now, first, starting week 2. Unfortunately, guys, I'm going to have to watch the NFL Network, otherwise known as the NFL Nitwit Network. That's what I call it. I actually have to listen to these morons babble and who they're going to pick and keep track of all their picks and then go along the line to see, if they pick the same people that I did. I'm not real happy about that because I really don't like them. But what I may do is just record it and then go back, rewind it, and try to catch it and see where their picks were and then listen to the rationale behind the picks and tear them apart and see how we do against them because I think we're going to do pretty well. So I'm pretty excited about that. So that's going to start in week 2. I'm going to keep trying to find Elliot Harrison's picks because I do like him. He's one of the few people I actually do like. I don't always like his analysis, but I certainly like where he kind of approaches and comes with it. So we'll see how that works out. Now, as far as the Thursday night game, so I'm not one of these people that's going to sit here and overreact about the Bengals losing 20-0 to the Baltimore Ravens. It was a surprise, especially for me. I didn't think Baltimore's defense was that good, and I certainly don't think Andy Dalton is that bad. I like Andy Dalton personally, and I picked the Bengals to make the playoffs. Now, I remind more than two people. I'm reminding all of you people this. In 1989, the Pittsburgh Steelers made it to the NFC divisional playoff game. They made it to the wild card first, won that, and then lost by a point to the Denver Broncos in the AFC divisional playoff game. The first 2 weeks of the 1989 season, they lost 51-0 to Cleveland and 42-10 to the Bengals. They were 0-2, and they were outscored 92-10 in their first 2 games against division opponents both games at home. And they turned around and still made a wild card, beat Houston in overtime 26-23, and then went to Denver and lost 24-23, a fumble while they were trying to drive it into field goal range at the end of the game, preserve the victory for Denver. So going 0-1 isn't a death nail, and certainly not in a division that you don't think is particularly strong. Now, Pittsburgh is strong. I don't think the Ravens are as good as the Bengals are. They were on that day, and that's undisputable. But they lost yet another player this week due to an injury, and they're another man down. And they may beat Cleveland. We'll talk about that this week. But they're not somebody that you're going to really sit there and go, okay, I'm worried about. All right? It's just kind of a thing right now. So Thursday night, the Bengals get to lick their wounds quick, and they're home. You've got a rookie quarterback in Deshaun Watson, who I think is going to be really good. But right now, not the case. Going against a Bengal defense that only gave up 20 points, despite its offense doing nothing, okay? And I don't think that the Bengals defense is going to be our offense is going to be as bad in this week as they were last week. I think they're going to lean a little bit more on Giovanni Bernard, and I think they're going to do the same kinds of things in the running game that the Jacksonville Jaguars did to kind of open up holes, because let's face it, the Bengals are definitely better than Jacksonville. I think we can make that assessment, even though it's only week 1 and one's 1-0 and one's 0-1. So I'm picking the Bengals for the Thursday night game to beat the Houston Texans. I'm not going to give you a score, but I am going to tell you I think the Bengals are going to win. Eric also is picking the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Houston Texans at home on Thursday night. I'm sure he's going to say something to the effect of, Thursday night games, the home team traditionally has a major advantage, and that's one of the reasons he's picking the Bengals. I'm sure that's going to be a part of it. But I know there's more analysis to it than that. Hopefully, we'll let him make his decision. But he is picking the Bengals to beat the Houston Texans. Now, you'll notice I got the standings updated. Rams are 1-0. So let me go into this second part really quick, and I'm going to be brief, okay, before I kind of really go off. So I heard 3 things that pissed me off, okay? And then I heard 2 other things that I want to point out before I get to the result of the Ram game. So I heard one expert analyst say, and I quote, "The most boring game of the week, the Rams and Colts. Rams should win 23-17. Another one said, and I quote, okay, "I have to try to make this game interesting, so here it goes. Goff versus Tolzien. There, I made it exciting. Rams win 20-14. Okay. Here's my favorite. I don't know who these guys, it's Jalen and Jacoby, I think is what they're called. I don't respect them at all, not as people. I respect them as people. I don't respect their analytical ability at all, because these are the same idiots that think basketball is more popular and better than football. Okay. Here was what they said. Rams and Colts, I ain't even going to bother with that game. I'm sorry. Do you not have a job? Do you not have a job? Do your job. We analyzed every single game last week. It took us an hour and 25 minutes. But I did it because there are people watching this show that like somebody. Somebody I don't even care about. But you know something? They do. Millions of their fans do. And I owe it to them, meaning you, the fan, to give you the best analysis on why I'm thinking the game's going to go the way I think it's going to go. And you have the luxury of watching it knowing I don't mean dink on a stick. Because in the end, it's going to come down to who actually performs on Sunday and who wins, or maybe Monday or Thursday. You Texan fans out there are like, what? You think we're going to lose the Bengals? You're out of your friggin' mind. I may be. Texans may win 27-zip. But I can only give you the reasoning behind what I think. Okay? And I think the Texans have a problem right now against the run, and they don't have an offense at the moment. Deshaun Watson looked really good on the first drive. The problem was after that drive. And I remind people on that first drive, he threw a pick, and if it wasn't for a bad penalty against the Jacksonville Jaguars that shouldn't have been called, that drive wouldn't have even ended in a touchdown. So let's not pretend like Deshaun Watson came in and lit it up. All right, there's a problem in Houston, and they got to get it figured out. And the biggest problem in Houston is Bill O'Brien, their head coach. And I know you Texan fans out there agree with me on that. Now, you have a job to do. You don't skip a game because you have no interest in either team. And let's face it, the only reason Jacoby and Jalen didn't have an interest in that game is because Peyton Manning wasn't playing for the Colts. So that shows you Colt fans exactly what the NFL still thinks of you, right? No Peyton, no luck, no care. Right? But I remind you, they still talk about San Francisco. They will always talk about Green Bay. They talked about Dallas no matter the record. Their go-to six will always get coverage. And the reason the Seahawks get the coverage is because they propped up that stadium saying it was the toughest place to play when it clearly wasn't and still clearly isn't. It's not the loudest stadium in the NFC West or the NFC. It's not even the loudest stadium in the NFC West, but you don't want to hear that, right? Because they propped them up and said, look how wonderful this stadium is. For whatever reason, that's what they latched onto. And I watch game after game and go, they don't seem to be struggling with the noise. I mean, I watched the Rams in 99. I know what the Trans World Dome looked like when teams try to audible. I saw the Colts in the Hoosier Dome under Peyton Manning when teams try to audible. I've seen Giant Stadium in the 80s when teams try to audible. They just don't look that hard. A couple false start penalties, but it's by people like dipstick Greg Robinson of the Rams who jumps off sides when there's nothing but crickets out there. False start on the Rams. How many times do we see that? In his own home stadium. I digress. They latched on to Seattle and made them one of the go-to six because they, for whatever reason, wanted that stadium to be something it wasn't. And they keep talking about it like it is. They don't care about those teams, so they don't announce it, but you have a job to do, and it's your obligation to do it. And I certainly don't like the sarcasm from people's mouths saying, oh, this game I'm supposed to make exciting, so here it is. There are 3 million people that want to watch that game. Minimum between Colt and Ram fans all over the country. I think that's relevant. I digress. The other one I liked, they picked the Rams to win 22-21. 22-21 was the prediction. 22-21. Not a single person picking the Rams other than myself said the Rams would win by scoring more than 23 points. That was the most. No one gave them 24. At no point did they score 24 points according to any of them, including Marshall and Kurt, when they had to give a score. No one. And one guy on First Take said the Colts were going to beat the Rams with Scott Tolzien. What's that score say? I'm sorry. I can't hear you. You're awfully quiet. Rams did better than even I expected. 46-9. First time in NFL history, a team got 2 pick sixes and a safety in the same game. I remind you, in 1984, the Rams set another NFL record that no one's duplicated. 3 safeties in one game against the New York Giants. We have a history of doing things on defense. That game, I was expecting somebody to go, wow, the Rams really look good. I have to say the Rams look good. But no. What do we hear? You guys know out there in the Ramily. What do we hear? Well, it was the Colts. That's not an impressive win. It was the Colts. You jackwagons didn't have them scoring 24 points, any of you. They scored 46. They doubled the highest point total you were going to give them. No one talked about it. Like 46 points was okay. Like everyone predicted that. No, not only did they not acknowledge it, they discredit going, well, it was the Colts. I'm sorry, the same team that you thought was going to be in a game all the way to the fourth quarter, 22-21, that same team? Like that's a team that you now are discrediting completely. Like the Rams didn't play anybody. Like they didn't impress at all. Then you got the coup de grace. Mike Greenberg, I highly doubt you're watching this. First of all, you're not intelligent enough to watch my show. And I truly mean that. On a scale from 1 to 10, you are on the spectrum so far off the reservation of intelligent that you couldn't comprehend the words coming out of my mouth at this point in time. Okay? You are truly a dummy when it comes to football. My child, my unborn child, knows more than Mike Greenberg does. That's how stupid he is when it comes to the game of football. What do we expect from a guy who says he's from St. Louis, who never talked about the Rams ever? I'm sure he never even talked about them when they were the greatest show on turf. Ever. And if he did, it was always in brief. All of a sudden now, he feels mortally wounded that the Rams left his beloved town of St. Louis? Maybe the reason the Rams left, Mike, is because people like you from the area treated the Rams just like you did on your show, like they were irrelevant and they weren't there, and they got a little tired of it. Don't tell me you support a winner. You don't support a winner. I'm not going to rehash episodes 1 through 5. I'm not going to do it. We already know you don't support a winner in football. You only support a winner in baseball and hockey. That's it. You don't even have a basketball program because you don't support it. He says this wonderful comment on Monday. Did you see the stadium? It was half empty. What a disgrace. LA can't support a team. Yeah, guys, he went there. For those of you living in LA, he went there. He said, people didn't want to go to the game because they were hot. That's really what he said. He legitimately said that the reason the fans didn't go to the game is because it was too hot. And then he cited some jackwagon that gave this poll on why the Ram fans didn't go to the game. Let's analyze this for just a brief minute. And I'm not going to try to explain it in such a way that Mike Greenberg could understand it, because that's not humanly possible. But let me explain to the rest of you that might think what Mike Greenberg said had some validity. The Rams sold 60,551 tickets, which means they had 60,551 fans that were supposed to show up to the game. Now, parking's $100 around there, okay? So if they were flush out of cash, they can't go to the game. And they could have taken Uber, but some people don't like Uber. Now, they could have carpooled, but they still have to come up with $100. So they might have made a decision, you know what, on a hot day, there's better ways to spend my $100. It's not because it's hot, it's because I don't want to pay $100 for parking. That's something the Rams are going to have to fix, okay? That's number one. Number two, you still had 55,000 people show up in a stadium that only seats 90,000. Mind you, that's a sellout. 60,000 is a sellout. 55 is not. But when you're in a 90,000 seat stadium and there's 55,000 fans there, it doesn't look full. It looks half full. So the Ramily should have shown up. I'm not completely discrediting what Greenberg said. We should have been there. But the reality is, for a week 1 opener against a team that you guys completely ridiculed, badmouthed, smashed, made out, this game isn't going to be exciting. Remember, you said that. What do you think the reaction is going to be from the average fan base that doesn't follow the team in LA? They're going to listen to you idiots, and they're going to assume that you know what you're talking about. So yeah, they're not going to go to the game. That's on you. You keep propping this team up like it's a joke, and they're going to keep blowing people out. Well, I hope. I said playoffs this year. I'm not backing down from that. I don't care if we're 4-5. I'm not backing down from that. This is a playoff caliber team. Now, whether they get there or not is entirely up to McVay and the way those guys play. But when you talk about this team like they're a joke, and you talk about the Chargers like they're the greatest damn football team since the 72 Dolphins, we got a problem. The Dolphins were great. The Chargers are a damn joke. They were down 21-7 to the Denver Broncos, who have no quarterback. And that defense kept them Should have won that game 28-7, by the way. They had that stop. They couldn't get that one stop on 3rd and long. They got the Chargers momentum, and they drove. And they almost forced overtime. But they still lost the game to a team that not a lot of people are picking to make the playoffs. So how's San Diego better? I'm dying to know. Because there's one team in LA that's 1-0. And there's one team that isn't. That's 0-1. If you want people to go, you got to do your part in giving honest analysis. But I guess that's too much to ask from today's NFL media, right? We can't get honest analysis because you guys Greenberg fully admits he's a Green Bay, a New York Jet fan. Fully admits it. Excuse me, I don't need to know that. I didn't know what Berman's favorite football team was, Chris Berman, until the mid-90s. I don't need to know your favorite team. I do a show called LA Rams Central, where we specifically focus on the Rams. A show like this, share your fanhood. Tell everyone who you like. But I want comments. I want comments from the fans out there. Am I not fair and honest with the rest of these teams? I know I rag on the Chargers and I rag on the Niners, but do I not give a reason why? And did I not give you hope in the last show? Did I not say good things? And have I not said good things about your football team? And don't talk about the go-to-6. You guys get more love than you deserve. So no, I refuse to give you any. Because you get enough. Every Sunday. Watch the network this Sunday. Watch it. Patriots, Giants, Steelers, Broncos, Cowboys, Seahawks. You can throw the Packers in there too. Go 2-7. Denver, I'm thinking Denver's eventually going to fade away. That's it. Those are the 7 teams they'll cover all morning long. From 8 o'clock till kickoff at 11 here in Arizona. That's it. For 3 hours, that's all we'll hear. So I'm not giving you coverage. You got enough. But even for those fans out there, am I not at least honest with your teams? Comment. Look, I'm going to wrap the show up because it's 23 minutes. But boy, my blood is boiling. But not in a bad way. My blood is boiling in a good way. Because, guys, our Rams shut a lot of mouths last week and forced a lot of people to eat crow by deflecting their previous argument that they had made the week before. And if they keep it up, and they should beat Washington, and they should beat San Francisco, September's going to be a wonderful month, 3-0. Watch it. Watch tomorrow, our 50th. We're going to cover all the games. We're going to break them down. I'm even going to give a little analysis on, we'll get in deep analysis on the Ram and Redskin game. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover week 1's games. I'll give a deep analysis on the Ram game. Then we're going to cover week 2's games. And then I'm going to give a deep analysis on the Ram Redskin game with Eric, because that's what we do here at LA Rams Central, where we give you the real story. No bias here, except for the Rams. But even then, guys, how many of you have criticized me? How many of you out there have said I'm too hard on the Rams? I'm way too harsh. Because I'm honest. I'm only going to tell you what I think. And what I think is more than what most people know. Or so it appears. That's a wrap. 49th episode is done. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you tomorrow.